All right, let's dive into the world of marine painters today. Think shipyards, those massive vessels, and the skilled professionals who protect them from the elements. We're talking interview prep, and thankfully, we've got some awesome resources from RoleCatcher to guide us. Career guides, interview guides, the works.
It's a fascinating blend of art and heavy industry. You need that artistic eye for detail, but also the technical know-how to work with specialized coatings and equipment.
It's not just slapping on a coat of paint.
Right, not at all. Think blasting, cleaning, scraping, meticulously prepping surfaces. It's all about creating a barrier against the harsh marine environment, preventing corrosion and damage.
RoleCatcher's career guide actually highlighted that. The work environment can be pretty demanding, potentially hazardous, requiring a good deal of physical stamina and adaptability.
Absolutely. And that's why interviewers often kick things off with those experience-based questions. They want to see what you've actually done, what you know. You might get asked something like, what experience do you have in marine painting? Seems straightforward, but I bet there's a way to make your answer really shine.
Absolutely. Instead of just listing previous jobs, dive into specifics. Talk about projects you've worked on, types of vessels, challenges you faced, and how you overcame them. Think of a situation where you had to get creative, adapt to a tricky problem.
So instead of saying, I have 5 years of experience, you'd say something like, I spent 3 years specializing in anti-fouling coatings on cargo ships, learning to work in all kinds of weather to get the job done right. Then I moved into yacht refinishing, where it's all about those high-gloss finishes and crazy attention to detail.
Exactly. Quantify your achievements too. You could add, at X shipyard, I was coating an average of 5 vessels per month, always meeting or exceeding quality standards. Makes a difference.
That's a fantastic tip. Now, what about surface preparation? I'm guessing they want to know more than just, can you handle a scraper? Oh, definitely. A common question is, what's your understanding of surface preparation for marine painting? This is where you show off your knowledge of different techniques, like blast cleaning, power tool cleaning, solvent cleaning, how to choose the right method for the job.
Like prepping a canvas, but on a massive scale.
Exactly. You've got to emphasize the importance of removing contaminants, rust, old paint. Creating a smooth, clean surface is key for those coatings to adhere properly.
So you could say, in this project, the hull was heavily corroded, so I used a combination of grip blasting and hand tool cleaning to get rid of all the rust before even thinking about primer.
Perfect. Shows you understand the principles and can put them into action. Now, closely tied to that is the whole world of marine coatings. Interviewers want to see if you know your stuff, what types of coatings exist, and when to use them.
So if they ask, what's your experience with marine coatings? It's not just saying, I've used a lot of paints.
Definitely not. This is where you get specific. Anti-fouling, anti-corrosive, fire retardant coatings. What are their properties? How do they work? You could even talk about how you'd choose the right coating for a specific vessel, taking into account the environment it'll be operating in and what the client needs.
So you're showing you understand the science behind it all, how those coatings contribute to the ship's lifespan and safety.
Exactly. Passion for the details. That's what stands out. It's not just about applying paint. It's about understanding the whole system.
Now, those massive sprayers you see in shipyards, I'm guessing interviewers want to know you can handle more than a brush.
Absolutely. What's your experience with painting equipment used in marine painting? That question's almost guaranteed. This is where you talk about airless sprayers, conventional sprayers, rollers, all those different application methods.
So more than just listing them off, it's about knowing the pros and cons of each and when you choose one over the other.
Exactly. You could say, I'm comfortable with both airless and conventional sprayers, but for huge areas like a ship's hull, airless is my go-to for speed and efficiency. For smaller components that need more precision and less overspray, I'd go with conventional.
Makes sense. Highlights that you're adaptable and understand the right tool for the task. Now, safety. Crucial in any industrial setting, but especially in a shipyard. Heavy machinery, heights, hazardous materials.
Absolutely. What's your understanding of safety requirements in marine painting? That's a question designed to assess your commitment to keeping yourself and your team safe.
And this is where those 3 letters come in. PPE. Personal protective equipment, respirators, gloves, safety harnesses, the whole 9 yards. And of course, knowing OSHA regulations and putting those safety practices into action.
Definitely. You want to emphasize that you're proactive, not just reacting to situations as they pop up. You could say something like, I'm committed to following all OSHA regulations and industry best practices. Before you even start a job, I do a full risk assessment and make sure my team is properly trained and has the right PPE.
Now that's impressive. Shows you're not just skilled, but also responsible. And, I've been using RoleCatcher, And their AI is pretty amazing. It can actually analyze job descriptions and recommend ways to tailor your answers to specific skills they're looking for.
Oh, absolutely. RoleCatcher can help you pinpoint those keywords and phrases that really emphasize your safety expertise. That's something that's highly valued in this field.
Like having a personal coach, helping you craft the perfect response. Now, interviewers also want to know you can meet client expectations. What kind of question digs into that?
You might get asked something like, how do you ensure a marine painting project meets the client's expectations? It's all about communication and quality control. It's not just about getting the job done, it's about making sure the client is happy every step of the way.
So understanding their needs, keeping them in the loop, and delivering a high-quality final product. How would you answer that effectively?
You could say, I always start with a thorough discussion with the client. I want to understand their specific requirements and what they're expecting. I provide regular updates, sometimes even photos of the progress. And of course, I'm doing inspections at each stage to make sure the work is top-notch.
It sounds like building a relationship based on trust and clear communication. Now, shipyards are known for tight deadlines, challenging projects. I bet interviewers want to see how you handle problems, think on your feet.
Absolutely. They might ask, what was the most difficult marine painting project you've worked on, and how did you overcome the challenges? This is your chance to tell a story, a compelling anecdote that shows off your problem-solving skills.
I love a good story. So what kind of story would work here?
Think about a time when things went sideways. Maybe you had weather delays, a complex surface to coat, or a problem with a specific coating. Explain the situation, the hurdles you faced, the steps you took to resolve them, and the positive outcome.
So, for instance, you could say, we were coating a large vessel with this specialized anti-fouling system, but the humidity was wreaking havoc on the adhesion. I did some research on alternative methods, talked to the coating manufacturer, and we adjusted our drying times. Ended up with a successful application despite those tricky conditions.
That's a great example. It shows you're proactive, resourceful, and can think critically under pressure. Now, another key aspect of marine painting is making sure your work meets industry standards and regulations. It's not just about looking good, it's about doing things by the book.
Makes sense. So what kind of question would they ask to assess that?
They might say, how do you ensure your work meets industry standards and regulations? Now's your chance to talk about organizations like SSPC and NC.
Okay, got to make sure everyone's on the same page. SSPC, that's the Society for Protective Coatings, and NS is the National Association of Corrosion Engineers, right?
Exactly. Being familiar with those acronyms and what they represent is key. You could say, I'm familiar with SSPC standards for surface preparation and coating application. I always reference those when planning and executing projects. And of course, regular quality control checks are a must to ensure everything's compliant.
Shows you're not just focused on getting it done, but on getting it done right. All right, before we move on to more interview questions, let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. I know RoleCatcher's career guide touches on career paths in marine painting.
Great point. Understanding those long-term prospects can definitely give you an edge in an interview. What stood out to you from the guide?
Well, it's competitive, but there's room for growth. Experienced marine painters can move into supervisory roles, management, or even specialize in certain areas, like blasting or those high-performance coatings.
Lots of ways to build your expertise over time. And the guide also emphasized continuous learning, taking courses, going to workshops, staying up to date with the latest and greatest.
Makes sense, especially with technology and materials always evolving.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've covered so much already, and I'm definitely feeling more prepared just from this conversation. It's amazing what a little insight and the right resources can do. We'll be diving into more questions in the next part of our deep dive, so stay tuned.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is there for you beyond interview prep. Their AI platform can help with your resume, cover letter, even connect you with mentors in the industry.
Like a personalized career assistant. So for all those aspiring marine painters out there, definitely check out RoleCatcher and explore all it has to offer.
It's an invaluable tool. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of marine painting. We've been breaking down some common interview questions, giving you some strategies and insights to really ace those responses.
It's amazing how much depth there is to this field. It's a real mix of technical expertise, artistry, problem solving.
Exactly. And those are the qualities interviewers are really trying to gauge. Remember how we talked about career advancement earlier?
Yeah, moving into those supervisory or management roles.
Exactly. They want to see if you have that leadership potential. So they might ask, have you ever had to lead a team? How would you describe your leadership style? something along those lines.
Even if you haven't officially been a manager, I bet there are examples you can draw on.
Oh, absolutely. Think about times when you took initiative, maybe mentored colleagues or coordinated tasks within a team. Those all speak to leadership qualities.
So instead of saying, I've never been a manager, you could say something like, while I haven't had a formal supervisory role, I often take the lead on projects, making sure everyone knows what they're doing, offering guidance to those who are less experienced.
That's a great approach, and it helps to describe your style, too. Are you collaborative, results-oriented, bit of both? The point is to show you can create a positive, productive team environment. And, RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your responses to these leadership questions and suggest ways to improve them.
Oh, that's interesting. So it can help you make sure you're highlighting the leadership skills that are most relevant to the specific job.
Exactly. It's like having a coach in your pocket. Now, the maritime industry, it's constantly changing. New technologies, new techniques. How do interviewers know you're keeping up with all that?
What do you do to stay up to date with advancements in marine painting, new techniques and coatings, something like that?
Spot on. They want to see that you're committed to professional development. It's not just what you learned 5, 10 years ago. You got to keep learning.
Right. So what would you mention here?
Any industry publications you follow, like the Journal of Protective Coatings and Linings, for example. Conferences you've attended, maybe events hosted by SSPC or NES.
Oh, right. We should probably remind people what those acronyms stand for. SSPC, that's the Society for Protective Coatings, and NA is the National Association of Corrosion Engineers. Got to keep things clear.
Absolutely. Clarity is key. You could also mention any online courses you've taken, certifications you've earned, maybe a program in advanced coding application, something like that. It all shows you're proactive and invested in staying at the forefront of the industry.
And I bet RoleCatcher's database of employers could come in handy here. You could research companies, see if they offer professional development opportunities. Shows the interviewer you're already thinking about growth within their organization.
That's smart. Now, we talked about the potential hazards of working with marine coatings. Interviewers will want to know about your experience handling those materials safely.
Right. What experience do you have handling hazardous materials? And what safety precautions do you take? Something along those lines.
Precisely. This is where you get specific, detailed. Mention any certifications you have, like Hayes-Woper, BOPR, that's the one focused on hazardous waste operations and emergency response. Talk about your knowledge of OSHA regulations and the specific precautions you take on the job site.
So, for example, you could say, I'm Hayes-Woper certified and have lots of experience working with various marine coatings, including the ones with VOCs, those volatile organic compounds. I always make sure I'm wearing the right PPE, that there's proper ventilation, and I follow all the procedures for handling, mixing, and disposing of hazardous materials.
Perfect example. Shows you're aware of the risks and committed to safety for yourself and everyone around you. It's a big deal in this industry.
Now, let's talk about that sometimes awkward topic, salary expectations. Any advice on how to handle that question?
It's going to come up usually something like, what are your salary expectations for this role? Now, it's tempting to just throw out a number, but it's better to gather some information first.
Instead of just blurting out a number, you could say something like, I'm really interested in this opportunity and I'm confident my skills match what you're looking for. But before we talk salary, I'd love to understand more about the responsibilities of the role and the overall compensation package.
That's a great way to handle it. It shows you're thoughtful and gives you a chance to assess the value of the role and the company's structure before committing to a range.
And this is where RoleCatcher's salary data can be a lifesaver. It gives you insights into typical salaries for marine painters in your area based on experience and location.
Absolutely. Helps you make sure your expectations are in line with the market. Now, as we wrap up this segment, I want to emphasize something. The importance of asking questions at the end of the interview.
Yeah, when they say, do you have any questions for us? Don't just say no.
Right. It's your chance to show you're engaged, that you've done your homework.
So what kind of questions would you suggest?
Ask about the company's culture, opportunities for professional development, anything about the role that wasn't clear during the interview. Maybe ask about their approach to sustainability or their commitment to training.
It shows you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for the right fit.
Exactly. Asking thoughtful questions can leave a great impression. It shows you're proactive and genuinely interested.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been exploring this fascinating world of marine painting, all the skills and knowledge you need to really thrive in this field.
It's demanding, no doubt, but the rewards can be huge, especially when you're passionate about it.
And even beyond the interview itself, RoleCatcher has so many resources to help you not just get the job, but build a successful career in marine painting.
Right. Remember how we were talking about tailoring your resume and cover letter to fit those specific job descriptions? Well, RoleCatcher's AI can actually do a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
It's amazing. It's like having a resume expert analyzing those long, detailed job postings and pointing out exactly which keywords and skills you should be highlighting.
Takes away so much of the guesswork, helps you really stand out from the competition. And their database of employers, talk about a goldmine of information.
You can really dig deep into those companies, get a feel for their culture, see what they prioritize, safety, sustainability, and whether their values align with yours.
Finding the right fit is key. It's not just about getting any job. And remember that career compass tool we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, like a personalized roadmap for your career in the maritime industry.
You can explore all sorts of specializations within marine painting, maybe focus on anti-fouling coatings, or those super high-tech paint systems they use on yachts. You can even branch out into other roles in shipbuilding and maintenance.
So many possibilities. It's great for anyone who's curious about the different directions you can go in. And as you gain more experience and start thinking about moving up, RoleCatcher's skill guides can help you figure out what you need to learn next.
Absolutely. They have all these recommendations for courses and training programs to help you pick up those in-demand skills. Whether it's advanced coding techniques or project management, there's something for everyone.
It's all about investing in yourself,
Yeah.
right? Staying ahead of the game in this industry. And those interview guides we talked about, they're not just for your first job.
Exactly. As you progress in your career, they can help you prep for those more senior positions. Think foreman, project manager, those kinds of roles.
Like having a mentor in your back pocket, guiding you through each step of your journey. Speaking of mentors, RoleCatcher can even connect you with experienced professionals in the industry.
It's like having this whole network of experts in your corner, offering advice, support, cheering you on as you face the challenges and celebrate the wins.
It's amazing. So if you're serious about a career in marine painting, RoleCatcher really is your one-stop shop. They have everything you need, from landing that first job to becoming a leader in your field.
Couldn't agree more. It's an investment in your future. Well, looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of marine painting. We've unpacked the role, tackled those tough interview questions, and uncovered some fantastic resources to help you along the way.
I hope everyone listening feels a little more prepared, a little more confident about taking that next step.
It's all about preparation, passion, and that drive to keep learning.
And don't forget about those amazing tools and resources out there, especially those offered by RoleCatcher. They can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. So to all those aspiring marine painters out there, embrace the challenges, stay curious, and never stop learning.
The world of shipbuilding is waiting. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Until next time.